Hey everyone, fifth video for a movie a day. I was actually really excited to watch Goosebumps because I hadn't seen anything about it before watching it. I hadn't watched a trailer and I hadn't read any reviews, so I really didn't know what I was getting into. Um, I assumed that it was a horror movie because obviously the horror books Goosebumps is what it's based on by R.L. Stine. But I actually found it in the comedy section on Netflix. And I know Netflix is, sometimes has problems with putting multiple movies in different sections, and it doesn't really have the sections uh, categorized correctly. But it stars Jack Black, who I've always found to be very enthusiastic, very energetic. I like him as an actor. Amy Ryan, who played Holly on The Office. She's in it, and then a few young actors and actresses who actual names I can't remember because I didn't write them down in my notes. Um, but it looked pretty good, so I gave it a shot. So the movie starts off. Amy Ryan is a new vice principal at a small high school in Delaware, and her son Zach is moving into a new house with her, and they meet, or Zach meets their next door neighbors, who is Jack Black and his daughter Hannah, and they're kind of keeping themselves, but Hannah pokes her head out the window. She's talking to Zach for a little bit, and Jack Black comes down, pulls her inside and kind of tells Zach, look, don't talk to us, stay on your side of the fence, you know, everything will be fine if you just, stay away. Which is kind of weird. And Zach kind of feels this out, and a few days go by, and he's talking to Hannah secretly now because Jack Black doesn't want them to be talking, and they're kind of hitting it off. Zach goes to school, and he's at the same school as his mother. They go to a student assembly talking about a dance that's coming up, and Zach ends up meeting another student. The name is Champ, which is interesting. It's short for champion. And Champ kind of establishes himself as the goofy sidekick right off the bat. So you kind of see how that dynamic is going to play out. You have Zach and Champ. So the day of the dance comes about, and Champ and Zach had been talking about going. So Champ comes over to Zach's house, but Zach has other plans. Zach wants to figure out what is going on with Hannah. He hasn't really seen her in a few days, and Jack Black's character leaves, so they go to investigate the house. And they're looking through the house, and there's some pretty creepy stuff inside, but they come upon this library with a full wall of these books. And Champ looks at them, and he says that they are the original Goosebump manuscripts by R.L. Stine. And he's like, these are crazy, but why are they all locked up? They all have this clasp. They all have this small lock on them. And, of course, just so happens that the key to all these locks is sitting on the desk right in front of them. So Zach picks it up and unlocks one of the books, but does not open it. It's important. So Hannah finds them, and it's like, what are you guys, what are you doing here? And Zach says, well, we're coming to find you. And she says, look, you gotta get out of here. My dad is gonna freak. You can't be touching his books. And Zach goes to pick up the book that he had unlocked and accidentally opens it up. And here's where the surprise comes out. The Abominable Snowman of Pasadena, one of the Goosebump books. This is the book that they unlocked. The Abominable Snowman comes out of the book, comes alive. The ink is flying off the pages, and there's this black kind of liquid forming, and the Abominable Snowman comes up and appears in the room with them. And obviously they're surprised, to say the least, and Hannah is saying that you have to open the book back up, and you have to take the book in order to get the monster back in. You have to open up the book and point at the monster, and that's how you get it back in. Well, they couldn't quite get it in the library, so the Abominable Snowman bursts out the window off into the night, and they have to go catch it. So they're running through town, and they find it in an ice rink, and Jack Black finds them trying to capture it, and he is the one that gets it back in the book. So here's where the spoilers start. If you like it so far and it sounds pretty interesting, it was a good comedy movie. It was good. I wouldn't say anything less than like 7 years old, I wouldn't show it to them because it is Goosebumps. It's supposed to scare you a little bit. So maybe not for the real little kids, but I would say a decent family movie. I would say that you would enjoy it. So spoilers start from here. Uh, Warning has been declared. So Jack Black ends up being R.L. Stine, and he explains to them on the ride home that these books are magic. And when he was a kid, he would write these books and he would create these monsters because he didn't have any friends as a child. And he was, basically just explaining that when you open up the books, the characters come alive. But obviously, these are Goosebump books, so you don't want the characters to come alive. This isn't, the Three Bears and Goldilocks. This is the werewolf. This is who we meet very shortly after, Slappy, who I imagine is one of the main scary characters of Goosebumps because he seems like he's a ventriloquist dummy, but he's very well spoken, very creepy, well spoken, kind of meticulous toy. And so he seems to be the ringleader of these monsters. And he has taken all of the books. He's unlocked all of them. He hasn't opened all of them quite yet, but he's opened up enough that they start terrorizing the town. There's a 100-foot praying mantis. There's the werewolf. There's ghouls, goblins. There are these gnomes, garden gnomes, which I wouldn't find scary, but when there's 100 of them coming at you with knives and pitchforks and stuff, yeah, I could see that getting kind of hairy. So there's this huge battle between the kids and Jack Black against all of these monsters, and it pretty much takes you through the entire town. The cops can't help because they're frozen by these aliens with freeze guns. Zach's aunt can't help. She's also gets frozen. And most of the adults and most of the kids are at this dance at the school, which somehow is still going on. There's power outages and the telephones are out, but none of these teenagers notice that they don't have any cell reception. I don't believe it, but anyway, moving on. So we finally get to the part where the kids and Jack Black make it to the school, and they storm into the dance, and they're explaining to all the kids, look, monsters are coming, we have to get out, we have to go and barricade ourselves. And at first, of course, no one believes them. What a ridiculous thing to come up with, monsters coming. But then, of course, the monsters show up and everyone believes them. So there you go. Amy Ryan ends up, barricading everyone, and Jack Black comes up with a plan to lure away all the monsters because he's the one that the monsters are all after. And the reason is because, like I've said before, the books are the key. So if you open up the books, the monsters go back in. Well, Slappy has burned all of the books, so effectively leaving the monsters eternal. But R.L. Stine can rewrite another book with all of the monsters in it and then open up that book and put all the monsters back inside. That's the plan. So if R.L. Stine cannot do that, the monsters stay eternal, so obviously the monsters want to stop R.L. Stine from doing this. So they have this plan, and it is to leave the school and take a bus out to this small carnival area that Hannah and Zach had visited early on in the movie. And it was explained that this carnival area was built up, but then they ran out of money, so they stopped building, except that all the electricity still runs, and everything is perfectly fine, and nothing's rusted. But anyway, that's besides the point. So they get there, they take refuge in a fun house. There is an extremely creepy dialogue between R.L. Stine and Slappy, and a muck comes. This kind of blob monster comes and pretty much incapacitates R.L. Stine so that he can't finish writing the book. Well, luckily, Zach finishes the book, he saves the day, he opens up the book, and unfortunately, with all of the monsters, goes Hannah. What they didn't tell you at the beginning of the movie was that Hannah is not, in fact, R.L. Stein's daughter, she is another character. He wrote a book, including Hannah, and brought her to life because it was very lonely and he wanted a companion. So Hannah is in fact just another character. So she is swept into the book with all of the other monsters. Zach is extremely upset, and it seems like the town is saved, but at what cost? We've lost Hannah. Well, happy endings are for everyone. R.L. Stein begins teaching at the high school. He's a new English teacher, which I think is a little bit beneath him. Someone who's sold like 400 million books, I think he's pretty well off. I don't think that he needs to go back to school and teach, but whatever, whatever he wants to do. Hey, he's R.L. Stein. Leave it to him. Um, so he pulls Zach aside and says, look, I know you're really upset, so I wrote another book and I made Hannah, come out again, and there she is. She's eternal. She, can't die. So I don't know what's going to happen in a few years when you have to go off to college, but enjoy it while it lasts, buddy. And they walk out of the school. Apparently, school's over, and that's the end of the movie. Congratulations. So a few, misconnections, a few things that kind of make me scratch my head, but overall, I'd say it's a good comedy. I enjoyed it. It wasn't too scary. Like I said, probably not something you'd show the little ones, but a decent family movie. I think that the puns and the few kind of inside jokes for the Goosebumps. I think if you read the Goosebumps, you might enjoy it even more. I think that you'll enjoy all the monsters coming back, all the different, it'll be a nostalgia trip pretty much. So yeah, I think that it's a decent movie. I enjoyed watching it. I hope you do too. Thanks very much for watching this video, and I look forward to the next video. Thanks.